Alright, what we got here is a 2015 3500 Ram coming just 4x4 Mega Cab, just under 30,000 miles. Notice I put new rims and tires on it, and I've noticed that the steering is getting a little loose. So we will, I just want to show you how much play there is here on the open road. So I can go like this. It's not really, you can feel a little bit, but there's a lot of play in that. Quite a bit of play. I'm not really moving on the road. So we're going to see if we can fix that with something from Rough Country that keeps popping up on my Facebook all the time. So here it is. It's Rough Country Suspension Systems. It's the steering tightening system for the 3500 Ram, and took it apart. Immediately noticed they want a 33mm socket to remove the pitman arm. Well, I had a 33mm socket and it didn't fit, so I had to go to Harbor Freight and get a, let's see, 1 3/4 socket. Usually don't buy Harbor Freight tools, usually try and get some Craftsman, but to buy a 1 3/4 inch socket from Craftsman at my local store would not have been feasible at this time. So there it is. These are the rims and tires that are probably making my steering a little bit weaker than it should be. I don't know if I can blame it on that or not, but it is what it is. So we're going to try and put this thing on here now that I have the correct socket. This is the sway bar right here, this thing. There's a bracket here on the passenger side, and one over here on the driver's side. We're going to remove these 4 bolts, I guess, with a 15mm socket, and that is correct. Got all 4 of them out. So next is this huge pitman arm. It's a 1 3/4 socket, and we'll take that out next. So I just crawled out from underneath there, and the sway bar fell down right where my face was. So that was a close one. Support the sway bar somehow. I don't know how. So the new pitman attachment they're giving me, this thing from Rough Country, fits a 1 3/4. However, this 1 3/4 does not fit on my Dodge pitman arm. Luckily, I bought this whole kit, so this 1 13/16 seems to fit the pitman arm. We're gonna try that. Alright, so $60 later, this is their socket that you need to get this pitman nut off. So there's a lock washer on there too. A 1 13/16. There's probably a metric one out there too, but I don't know. Alright, I got the nut off, and it's asking to put a little bit of Loctite on this pitman arm. I don't know how much is a little bit. That looks like a little bit. Should be all the way around. I don't know. We'll say that's enough. Alright, now we're going to put this new Rough Country pitman arm on here. Oh, you know what? That's never going to fit. the socket is not a deep socket. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah. I can't. Yeah. Nope. Well, at least they got it off. But they say that a crescent wrench will also work. I do not have a deep socket 1 3/4 inch. So crescent wrench it is. So this is my crescent wrench. It's my dad's. He was a big believer in crescent wrenches. I never was. He actually used this one to kill a rattlesnake one time. We were herding cows through a ditch and came up on a rattlesnake. He jumped off his horse and had this in his saddlebag, and that's what he used to kill a rattlesnake. So that's great. So I keep it for a memento, but guess what? Too small. So the Loctite is drying up there. I'm going to try these channel grips. And they are just big enough. Just big enough. That's probably why they want the Loctite, because they probably know not a lot of people have a 1 3/4 inch deep well socket. Okay. That's about as tight as I'm going to get it. Alright, next is getting this big bar up there where he took the bolts off for the sway bar. So you gotta get underneath here, bench press this bar and the sway bar and wiggle them around till you line up those holes. I got 2 bolts in there now, just holding it. So you need to be able to bench press about 50 to 70 pounds, I would say. Alright, so I got all 4 bolts in now, and they say just hand tighten them. So they're in there. Now we're gonna fix that little doohickey. Doesn't look very centered, does it? I don't know what kind of problems that's gonna be. Oh, by the way, if you want to tighten those 4 sway bar bolts, you can't use the same socket that you used to take them off with, because those are new bolts, and of course they're a different size. Now this bearing block, they're calling it, is supposed to slide up on that shaft and bolt to this, to here. That's about as far as I can get it up there. So rubber mallet. Yeah, rubber mallet seems to have done the trick. Apparently this grease zerk right here has got to face forward to the truck. Looks like a couple of bolts here and here. Tighten them down. So these bolts were not going in. I had to really loosen all 4 of these sway bar bolts again. And that gave me enough play to move this bracket around a bit so I can get both of these bolts in here. So I got the bolts down. They say install the washer and the nuts. These are those nylon lock nuts. So I got 2 washers that are the same. I had 4 washers that look the same and 2 other washers that look the same. I assume you put the 4 washers that look the same on the 4 provided sway bar bolts, and the 2 washers that look the same on the 2 bolts for the bearing bushing. Yeah, no, they don't. These washers do not fit on here. Now it's stuck. Well, I always keep extra washers, and I keep them in these boxes, and I found a couple. They seem to fit on there just right. Now it says to tighten those with a 19mm wrench. So I've got a, where is it? Got a 19, and no, it's not a 19. Again, I don't know how they're measuring these things, but none of these things are right. It's a 17, so I'll tighten those. Okay, so the top. Tighten it. Top is a 5/8, and the bottom is a 5/8 too. Oh, shit. It's not metric. Okay, now that I've got my entire wrench, socket, and plier supply out here to figure out what is wrong on these instructions, we got all these bolts tight. All 4 of the sway bar bolts and these 2 bearing bushing bolts. It says to go ahead and grease it, so I've got some Amsoil grease up in there. Got a little dust cap. I don't know how long that's going to stay on there. But now I've got all my wrenches out here. We got 2 little Allen set screws right there, back and back here as well. One there. Let's see what size that is. It says 1/8 inch. We'll see. Just happen to have 1/8 inch right here. Will it fit? What the hell? So we're going to tighten those down. Oh, there's my Hellcat. If you guys can see it right over there. It's away for the season. Am I tightening or missing? I'll be right back. Alright, she's all on. Tightened up. It's all greased. Let's go see what it does. Alright. Same road. Same everything except the new steering brace. How will it do? Let's see. Jeez. I don't know. You know what? There is a slight improvement. There's it's about 50% better, I would say. Still pretty sloppy, but I don't know. I want to say it's better. You guys look at it. There we go. It's turning a little bit. not convinced. I want to say it's slightly better. It's definitely turning when I go that far. When I initiate that much steering in there, it's turning. So I want to say it's at least 50% better.